So I've had the Z Fold 8 for about a day now. It's actually going to be a day in about 2 hours, but I want to get this out already because I have a lot more thoughts and things to share with you now that I used it pretty much all day yesterday. I do have quite a bit to share with you here. I want to begin by talking about the first thing, and that is the cover display. Now, the first impressions I got immediately is short, definitely easier to type with a wider display here, but also giving you kind of those squared passport, this is a Unihertz Titan 2, but like a BlackBerry style. If you want to type nice and wide like a keyboard, like one of those old QWERTYs, but you want to do it on a touch screen. So if you want to do it on a touch screen, you have a very wide touchscreen keyboard, kind of like one of those QWERTY phones. So definitely that's nice. It kind of solves the complaint a lot of people had about the skinnier, narrower folding design of the past. However, there are one con to it though, is that it is pretty wide. If you don't have big hands, you might actually have to use the one-handed mode still on here. So do keep that in mind. That is likely to be a thing if you don't have super wide hands. So keep that in mind here. So you'll see floating keyboard. You might have to move it over or whatever for that reason. One of the other things I noticed about the cover display is that it's super easy to reach the top. This is definitely a sure thing. I think a lot of people will be easily able to reach the top, but because of the width, you still got to grip and hold on to it because it could slip out of your hand just a bit if you're not like really holding on to it there, but very easy to reach the top. It's giving me like a super portable communicator type vibe here on the front. But definitely one of the things I'm not loving so much already about this Z Fold 8, is the constant scrolling on the front here. So let's go ahead and take a look. For example, these things, like if you're reading one article at a time, fine, but I feel like there's more content displayed on a more portrait oriented phone, even like the Z Fold 8 Ultra, the regular one. It just seems like you got to scroll quite a bit more on here. Now that's not a deal breaker for sure to have this nice portable thing, but it is something I notice. I'm just saying things I notice. I personally don't find it to be a problem if you enjoy the portability factor of this, but definitely keep in mind you will have to scroll a bit more if you're going to be on the front display. Also, because the display is a little bit shorter and all that stuff, the text can appear smaller, so you might have to raise the font up a little bit. Certain elements might look a little bit smaller, like the calendar, for example, but it's going to be wider. Keep that in mind. So overall, that's kind of like what I'm thinking so far about the cover display. I did add the anti-reflective coating on here, not coating, it's the screen protector case. So you can see I now have anti-reflections, but you get that on the inner display as well. One thing I like about this display is it's plenty bright, it's plenty sharp, and so you don't get no weak quality there on the front. But honestly, this feels like a portable phone user's dream foldable right here. Definitely not the one for people who want to use the phone heavy on the front, I think, but for those people who like the more portable, pocketable, foldable phone, that's what this is for sure, is what I've been thinking about just over a day already of using it. It just slips in the pocket so easy. It's just so one-handable. The only thing is the width you do have to get used to. So I don't have the Z Fold 7 because I traded it for the Z Fold 8, but I do have another foldable phone. It's kind of the same type of thing. This is the Magic V6, not a comparison, but we're just using this to show the book style format here. And you'll see that you do see like the whole article. You could see down here how it's like down there. So you'll just see like a little bit more content without scrolling as much on these book styles because they're just a bit taller. You can see how the text is getting cut off on the left, and over here it's not. So again, if you like to use a foldable phone that has, a lot more content kind of displayed on the front, you might enjoy the 8 Ultra a bit more. And maybe if you don't want to really go in the inner display all the time, I still think you should get the regular 8 Ultra for stuff like that. And because this cover display does create a little bit of a smaller design, and you do noticing smaller, I think on this phone you're going to find yourself going into the inner panel a lot more than you'll find on the 8 Ultra, for example. This also happened to me when I was using the Pixel Fold. I found myself always going inside the display versus the Z Fold 7 I had. I was always on the cover display, and then when I needed the inner display, I would go in to the inner display. I think this is the phone for people who want to use the inner display more because you do have a lot of versatility here. Number one is this inner display does have better versatility. So we can do, hold on, we actually tried to split screen the same app. Hold on. You could actually put this right there. You have this nice widescreen, but then you could go ahead and bring in another application off to the right over here. Let's go ahead and grab my second calculator so I can do multiple calculations, and you'll see 3 applications across. And you can actually use all 3 at the same time. You don't actually have to slide them over like you might do on some other foldable phones. Then if you turn it into the portrait mode, you can also do it right there. And then if you want to kind of have that Z Fold 7 like or Z Fold 8 Ultra type, you can stay in portrait and have this longer, skinnier type look here if you want that. Also, I do think if you want a third application, you want it to kind of feel like before, just use it in portrait, and you could use it just like the older foldables. So this does give you a lot of different ways to use the phone. And I find that in this phone, you will just kind of want to go into portrait mode a little bit more, because it's still a little bit short here on the inside. So I think for reading, you're probably going to do this a lot and go into this angle so you could see a lot more content at once. But what's nice is that you have that option to do that. And then if you want a nice media experience, we'll show the media a little bit later, you can go back into this format. So definitely a multitasking beast over here, while also having a lot of versatility within that inner display. So honestly, I think this size for some is going to feel a little bit short and cramped. I think for others, it's a game changer, because this is what they've always wanted. They wanted a shorter fold that was easier to put in their pocket, and it exists now. So this is either for you or not for you. You'll know immediately when you start using it, probably within the first hour of using it. So I do think you should really, I don't think you should go into this blind. I do think you should really go to the store, hold this first, play with it a little bit, then go play with the other foldable and see which one you like more, because I think you could have regret if you're thinking this is going to be like some huge phone. This to me has been feeling more like a mini fold is what I've been thinking for sure. It's got like that shorter feel. So if they could have called this the Fold Mini, honestly, in my personal take, because it's light, it's thin, it's shorter, it looks a little more mini compared to like a book style foldable that's a lot taller, a lot bigger. But they kind of did that in a way. They called the other one the Ultra. So it kind of still makes sense. Now, taking a look at the video experience, I do think that the bars are far reduced on here versus some other phones. So if you like to watch movies, videos, this is going to be a really excellent option. And then if you pinch in, it does cut off a little bit, but not as much as you might think. Now, if you turn it into portrait while watching video, you get this ridiculous huge bars up here. So definitely that's not the way to do it when it comes to media on here. Unless you're just kind of looking at the comments like this, then you get a lot of comments. One of the things I haven't enjoyed already about this is there's no flexing mode. So if you put it like that, it's just going to snap back. So we don't have any flex mode right here. That to me is a big miss, especially for a phone that could have easily been able to kind of sit up like a little laptop, but it doesn't. I think the Surface Duo had like the nice thick bar in between. You could go ahead and, sit it up like a little laptop. I wish this had that, but it doesn't. So PDF examples look really good on here because you could put in this portrait, kind of see the whole PDF. So that's definitely going to be an area where I do think this is an excellent use case of this phone for sure. Also, the area of ebooks looks awesome as well. Let me show you that. So if you like to read books, this is going to be pretty cool. It's going to feel like you're turning a page right here. You do have yourself, two side by side, huge screen to go ahead and read this. Then if you turn it upright, you have a nice lightweight and easy to read display here for reading books. So a portable, compact, like having like a little Kindle here right in your pocket pretty much everywhere you go. So this is an excellent e-reading device, I would say overall, except if you'd like more of an e-paper type display, this ain't gonna work for that. But at the same time, it's still giving you a really nice screen to do your reading. Now, one of the things I don't love so far is the front screen if you want to do multitasking. I know not a lot of people are going to care about this, and nor do they need to use this that frequently. But before on the taller book foldable, the Z Fold 7 or even this new Z Fold 8 Ultra, there's more room to split screen on the front if you want. You could still do it here, but it's really cramped and small. So this area of the phone still more usable than zero split screen you'll find on the iPhone. But at the same time, it's not enough space to really get the job done too well. So it's going to be pretty cramped to do this stuff here on the front. But the fact that you can do it is still pretty cool. So a day later with the battery life, it's already seeming to be pretty strong. Brand new phone, of course, But one of the reasons it's stronger is it's a 4800, which is a pretty sizable battery for the size and thinness factor of this Galaxy Z Fold 8. And this phone actually has been lasting quite a bit longer than what I expected. So I wouldn't worry whatsoever if battery is a concern. It was also charging very fast through that 45 watt enabled port down there. So definitely this device, I think, has been, even a day later, it's showing pretty good signs of an incredible battery life. It's not going to be the best out there. There are foldables with much larger silicon carbon, but at least Samsung adopting that tech here is going to help you to get a lot better battery life than you would have before, and making the smaller form factor not be a hit on battery as much as you might have thought. One of the great things though is the actual quality of the panels are very bright. They're very sharp, 3000 nits peak, high pixel densities. So even though some of the text could sometimes feel a little bit smaller, it's tack sharp. So that's a very enjoyable thing. And of course, if you're worried about, the text size, all you got to do is increase the font or turn it into portrait. So the versatility is there. That's not really a deal breaker overall. Now, I will say that the performance is excellent, but for some reason, I don't know why, it just hasn't been feeling as fast as the S26 Ultra to me, but it's still a very quick phone, so that's not going to be a problem really. It does have the 12 gigabytes of RAM. Again, we'll do Geekbench more synthetic testing in a future video, but it does have the latest Snapdragon CPU, 12 gigs of RAM, so it's good to go. One of the things, I'm not going to play a song right now after a day of using, is the speakers. They're only over here, and they didn't sound incredibly good. They did sound a little bit tinny, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to say cheap, but definitely a little bit less than I would desire. So I feel like some other phones have better speakers when it comes to the external speakers. So I'm going to be using Bluetooth more with this phone. But I think a lot of people are going to want to be in their own world on their headphones anyway. So I don't think that's the biggest deal either. Now, a day later with the cameras, I haven't had a ton of time to test them out. But one thing I have to say is that if you do want a phone with a faster camera, better overall quality, better options, this is just not the main, priority of this device. But at least you're still getting what you would get like on a base Galaxy, for example. So it's not like horrible cameras. They're just, I wish they would give us the top tier. Like, we're already paying $2,000 for this right here. Like, I think it's just ridiculous that we're still not getting the top tier. Yes, the Ultra gets the 200, but even that doesn't get the telephoto like the S20. Why can't we just get what the S26 Ultra gets? Do you agree with that? Like, let me get the 3 cameras with the zoom, with all the jazz. Like, I'm paying $2+ grand for this thing. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people might agree with that. Some people might say it doesn't matter, but honestly, I think it does to have a nicer camera setup. Still, not super disappointed here. Not having the under display camera does make that annoying punch hole right there. Does get in the way sometimes, but gives you a better camera quality on the inside. Personally, I would rather it not be there because I don't really need it on the inside. I'd rather just use this one on the front if I need a selfie camera. Some people might disagree, especially for those who want to do Zoom calls and stuff, but I kind of miss the under display setup. And if they could find a way to get that back, where if it works good, it would be nice to see that make its return, as that felt like more of an all-screen inner display. So yeah, the fingerprint sensor, because it's kind of like on the back side over here and it's not right here, you might actually find yourself like touching this part and being like, come on. So you'll have to get used to the skinny fingerprint sensor in the back side and go like that. It does take a little bit of getting used to. So after one day of use, I'm already thinking that, if you like to use the inner display of a smartphone, of a foldable phone, you're going to love this one. Triple split screen multitasking. The portrait is awesome. The media viewing is amazing on here. I think that if you like to use the outer screen more, you should go with a standard book style foldable, as I do think it feels way more natural. The transition from this slab to foldable space will feel a lot more normal to you if you go over here, because with these, you kind of use like a regular style screen and then you open it up. And yeah, it's a little bit taller and bigger. This is exactly what the Z Fold 8 Ultra looks like as well on the inside. Big old 8-inch display. But it kind of gives you a lot of vertical space as well if you want to do productivity based stuff. So to me, this is the media king. This is the consuming media king right here. Maybe PDFs and stuff like that, and some great multitasking with their triple split screen. But the real thing I'm just getting is this phone is just fun. It's different. It's cool to use. It feels like something new. It feels very Samsung, back in the day when they were launching new things, trying new things. And I do like this about it. It's definitely one that's going to kind of give you that little hit of like, finally something new. I finally feel like I got something a little bit more fun, playful, and inviting. But I think for a serious heavy phone user, the Ultra is probably still a little bit better just because it feels a lot more tall and like you could just see more things up and down. At the end of the day though, this Fold feels like a Fold mini, if I'm being honest. That's not a bad thing. It's very versatile. It's very portable. It simply falls short if you like a tall display for more content overall. So yeah, I would say that, it's pretty much a go if you like this style, but I seriously recommend, go check it out first. Play with the other one, see which one kind of really fits your style more. But I do think this is going to get a lot more people to adopt the foldables, and I'm really excited to see how this compares to the upcoming Apple Fold. That's going to be quite interesting because not everybody likes the sharper corner. Some people might want the rounded stuff. Some people might want the iOS, iPadOS combination, that might be coming. So this is all speculation still, but that's something I think a lot of people are looking forward to. And before we get up out of here, let's do a few more close-up shots of the device to kind of give you a better look before you go in. You'll see we do have that classic, Samsung logo right there on the edges, very thin right here. You will see it right there. Everything is pretty much closed. If we go over here on the side, fingerprint sensor, we do have ourselves the volume rocker. Then in the back, it's pretty clean on the back because it doesn't really say Samsung anywhere right there. And if we go look at the top, you'll see right here we do have ourselves the SIM card tray, speaker, and then on the front, pretty short there. I'm pretty zoomed in right here. In reality, let's back it out. This phone is pretty short. Honestly, there's my hand. If it could just easily, my hand just swallows this thing up. So that's it for me. Z Fold 8 a day later. This is not my full review. Those are my initial extended thoughts over the unboxing. I'm going to continue to use it and give you some updated content in about a week or so. I'm going to also do some comparisons, so stay tuned. I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.